The metal door slid open with a soft hiss. Commander Jake Harmon walked into the holding room. His boots made quiet sounds on the clean floor. He carried a tray of food in his hands. The smell of warm bread and cooked vegetables filled the air. Princess Lyra sat in the corner of the room. Her violet skin seemed to glow under the bright lights. Her eyes were like burning stars, full of anger. She wore her royal armor even though she was a prisoner. The armor had dents and scratches from the battle 3 months ago. Jake smiled at her. It was a gentle smile, not the cruel smile of a victor. This made Lyra even more angry. She did not understand these humans. They confused her. They scared her in ways that weapons never could. "Good morning, Princess," Jake said. His voice was calm and friendly. "I brought you breakfast. Dr. Novak said this is a traditional dish from your home world. We hope you like it." Lyra stood up fast. Her hand went to her side, looking for a weapon that was not there. "What do you want?" she demanded. Her voice was sharp like broken glass. "What game are you playing, human?" Jake set the tray down on the small table. He stepped back, giving her space. "No game," he said. "Just breakfast. You need to eat." "Lies," Lyra shouted. She grabbed the tray and threw it across the room. Food scattered on the walls and floor. The plate broke into pieces. "You think I am stupid? You poison me, or you drug me, or you try to break my spirit." Jake did not get angry. He did not shout back. He just looked sad. "The food is not poisoned," he said quietly. "Dr. Novak spent 2 days learning how to cook it properly. She wanted you to have something that reminded you of home." "Why?" Lyra asked. Her voice shook with emotion. "Why do you do this? What do you want from me? Information, secrets? Do you want me to betray my father, my people?" Jake shook his head. "We want nothing from you. You are a guest here, not a slave." "Guest?" Lyra laughed, but it was a bitter sound. "I am your prisoner. You captured me in battle." "Yes," Jake agreed. "But that does not mean we must treat you badly. You are still a person. You deserve respect." Lyra stared at him. In her world, prisoners were beaten. They were starved. They were tortured for information or killed to show strength. Kindness to an enemy was weakness. It was a trick. It had to be a trick. "You are soft," she said, trying to sound strong. "Your people are weak. This is why you will lose when the real war comes." Jake smiled again, that same gentle smile. "Maybe," he said. "But I would rather be kind and lose than be cruel and win." "What kind of victory is it if you lose your soul?" He turned to leave. Before he reached the door, he stopped. "Your ship will be here tomorrow," he said. "The prisoner exchange. You will go home. But until then, if you need anything, just ask. Medical care, books, music, anything. We will provide it if we can." "I need nothing from you," Lyra said coldly. Jake nodded. "All right. But the offer stands," and he left the room. The doors closed behind him. Lyra stood alone in the quiet room. She looked at the food on the floor. The smell was familiar. It smelled like home, like the meals her mother used to make before she died. How did these humans know? How did they learn this? She felt something strange in her chest. It was not anger. It was not fear. It was confusion. And something else. Something she could not name. Later that day, Jake returned. This time, Dr. Claire Novak was with him. Claire was a small woman with kind eyes and gray hair. She carried a medical kit. "Princess Lyra," Claire said with a small bow, "I noticed you have an injury on your left arm. It is not healing well. May I look at it?" Lyra pulled her arm closer to her body. "No, you will experiment on me. You will take samples. You will study my biology to find weaknesses." Claire shook her head. "I will not. I am a doctor. My job is to heal, not to harm. But I understand your fear. You do not have to trust me. I will leave these medical supplies here." She placed a small box on the table. "The instructions are in your language. You can treat yourself if you prefer." Lyra said nothing. She just watched as Claire and Jake left again. When they were gone, she looked at the medical box. Slowly, carefully, she opened it. Inside were bandages, medicine, and clear instructions written in perfect Zarkathi script. They had spent time learning her language. They had researched her people's medicine. They had given her the choice to heal herself. Why? What did they gain from this? The next morning, a Zarkathi warship arrived at the station. General Crone, Lyra's uncle, came to collect her. He brought with him a human prisoner named Lieutenant Ben Torres. Ben was thin and covered in bruises. His uniform was torn and dirty. His eyes looked empty, like he had seen too much pain. Lyra saw Ben and felt sick. This was how the Zarkathi treated prisoners. This was normal. This was expected. She looked down at herself. She was clean. Her armor had been repaired. She had been fed good food. She had been offered medical care. The exchange took place in a large room with windows showing the stars. Jake stood on one side with Ben. General Crone stood on the other side, waiting for Lyra. Human and Zarkathi guards lined the walls, weapons ready. General Crone smiled when he saw Lyra walking toward him. "You look well, Princess," he said in their language. "Too well. Did you give them information? Is that why they treated you softly?" "I told them nothing," Lyra said. "They asked for nothing," Crone laughed. "Then they are fools' weakness. This is why we will crush them." Lyra looked back at Jake. He was helping Ben walk. Ben could barely stand. Jake supported his weight and spoke to him quietly, words of comfort. A human doctor rushed forward to help. Lyra felt that strange feeling again. It was stronger now. She realized what it was. Shame. She was ashamed of her people. She was ashamed of what they had done to Ben. She was ashamed that she had never questioned it before. Before she crossed to the Zarkathi side, she stopped. She turned back to Jake. "Why are you kind to me, human?" she asked loudly. "Do you desire something? Tell me the truth." The room went silent. Everyone watched. Jake looked at her with those calm, honest eyes. "Because it is the right thing to do," he said simply. "We do not need a reason to treat someone with dignity. You are a living being. That is reason enough." Lyra felt something break inside her, not in a bad way, more like a wall crumbling. A wall she had built her whole life. She did not know what to say. She just stared at him. "Come, Princess," General Crone said, impatient. "We leave now." Lyra walked to the Zarkathi side. But she looked back one more time. Jake was still helping Ben. He did not watch her leave. He was focused on caring for the wounded man, a man who was his own people, a man the Zarkathi had broken. As the Zarkathi shuttle carried her away from the station, Lyra looked out the window. She could see the human ship, small, weak-looking, but inside that ship were people who chose kindness over cruelty, people who treated their enemies better than the Zarkathi treated their own. "Are you well, Princess?" Crone asked. "Did they harm you?" Lyra touched her healed arm. She thought of the food that smelled like home. She thought of Jake's smile. "No," she said quietly. "They did not harm me. They did something worse. They made me question everything I know." Crone did not understand. He laughed. "You will forget this soon, Princess. When we conquer them, you will see their kindness was just fear, just weakness," but Lyra was not sure anymore. She had seen something in Jake's eyes. It was not fear. It was not weakness. It was something she had never seen in her own people. It was hope. It was the belief that things could be better, that people could be better. And for the first time in her long life, Princess Lyra Velzara wondered if maybe, just maybe, the humans were not weak. Maybe they were strong in a way the Zarkathi had forgotten, or perhaps had never known at all. The imperial palace rose from the mountains of Zarkon like a giant blade. It was made of black stone and metal. Statues of conquered enemies lined the entrance. Their faces were frozen in fear and pain. This was meant to show the power of the Zarkathi Empire. This was meant to remind everyone of their strength. Lyra walked through the familiar halls. Everything was the same as when she left. The cold walls, the sharp edges, the constant feeling that everyone was watching, judging, looking for weakness. She had grown up here. This was her home. So why did it feel wrong now? She touched her arm where the injury had been. It was completely healed now. She had used the medicine the humans gave her. It worked better than Zarkathi medicine, but she could not tell anyone that. They would think she was weak for accepting help from the enemy. "Daughter." Her father's voice boomed across the throne room. Emperor Velzara sat on a throne made from the bones of defeated enemies. He was massive even for a Zarkathi. His armor was covered in marks from 1,000 battles. His eyes glowed red with power. Lyra bowed low. "Father, I have returned. I see the humans did not break you," he said. "This is good. But I also see something in your eyes, something I do not like. What did they do to you?" "They did nothing, Father. They gave me food. They offered medicine. They treated me with respect." The Emperor's face twisted with anger. Respect? They mocked you! They showed you pity. This is how they insult us, Lyra. They pretend to be kind to show they do not fear us. They think we are beneath them. Lyra wanted to argue. She wanted to say that Jake's kindness was real. But she stayed silent. In the palace, speaking against the Emperor was dangerous, even for his daughter. General Crone tells me you seemed troubled at the exchange, her father continued. He says you asked the human commander a strange question about why he was kind to you. I wanted to understand their tactics, father, to learn their ways of thinking. The Emperor studied her face. You are lying to me. I can see it. But I will allow it for now. You have been through much. Rest, recover your strength. Soon we will crush these humans. Then you will see their kindness for what it truly is. Weakness. Lyra was dismissed. She went to her quarters high in the palace towers. The room was large and filled with weapons and trophies from her own battles. Everything was sharp and hard and strong, just like a Zarkathi warrior should be. But Lyra remembered Jake's room on the human ship. It had pictures of his family, books about history and art, a small plant growing in a pot, things that were soft, things that were gentle, things that showed he cared about more than just fighting. She could not sleep that night. She kept thinking about the human prisoner, Ben, his broken body, his empty eyes. She had seen prisoners like him before, many times. She had never cared before, but now she could not stop thinking about it. The next day there was a feast in the great hall. All the important Zarkathi nobles were there. Servants brought food and drink. Musicians played war songs. Everyone was celebrating recent victories. Lyra sat at the high table next to her father. She ate the food but did not taste it. She watched the servants moving between tables. They kept their eyes down. They moved quickly. They were afraid. One servant, a young male, stumbled. He spilled wine on the floor near General Crone's feet. The hall went silent. Everyone stopped eating. Everyone stopped talking. They all watched. General Crone stood up slowly. His face was calm, but his eyes were cold. You dare to be clumsy in the Emperor's presence? He asked the servant. The servant fell to his knees. His whole body shook with fear. Please, my lord. It was an accident. Please forgive me. There are no accidents, Crone said. Only weakness. He pulled out his blade. Lyra stood up before she could stop herself. Uncle, wait. Perhaps we can... Sit down, Lyra, her father commanded. His voice was hard as stone. Lyra sat. She watched as Crone killed the servant for spilling wine. She watched as other servants cleaned up the body. She watched as everyone went back to eating and talking like nothing had happened. Because in their world, nothing had happened. This was normal. This was right. This was strength, but Lyra felt sick. She excused herself and left the hall. She went to her room and locked the door. She leaned against the wall and tried to breathe. Before her capture, she would not have cared about the servant. She would have seen his death as justice. The weak die, the strong survive. That was the way. But now she kept thinking, what would Jake have done? Would he have killed someone for spilling wine? Or would he have helped them clean it up and told them everyone makes mistakes? She knew the answer, and it made her feel more alone than ever. Late that night, Lyra did something forbidden. She accessed the palace communication system. She searched for human broadcasts. The Zarkathi government blocked most of them, but Lyra knew how to get around the blocks. She was a princess. She had access to things others did not. She found human news channels, human entertainment, human history files. She watched for hours. She learned about Earth's past, about their wars, about their struggles, about their choices. Humans had fought terrible wars. They had done cruel things to each other, but they had also chosen to change. They had created laws to protect the weak. They had built organizations to help people in need. They had decided that kindness mattered more than power. Lyra found footage of Jake from before her capture. He was negotiating peace between two small alien species. They had been at war for years. Jake spent months talking to both sides. He helped them understand each other. He found a solution that satisfied everyone. No one died. No one surrendered. They just agreed to coexist. This confused Lyra. In Zarkathi culture, peace came from conquest. The strong defeated the weak. Then there was order. But Jake's peace was different. It was peace where everyone kept their dignity. Everyone kept their freedom. She found more footage. Jake visiting orphanages. Jake helping rebuild homes destroyed by natural disasters. Jake teaching young diplomats. In every video he was kind. He was patient. He was genuine. Lyra realized something that frightened her. She wanted to live in a world like that. A world where kindness was strength. Where helping others was honorable. Where mistakes did not mean death, but she was Zarkathi. This was not her world. This could never be her world. The next morning, her father summoned her to the War Council. The room was full of generals and admirals. Maps of human space covered the walls. Red marks showed targets. Military plans covered the tables. General Crone stood at the center. The humans are weak, he announced. Their compassion makes them soft. They spend resources on helping others instead of building weapons. They treat prisoners with respect instead of breaking them. They negotiate instead of conquering. This makes them easy targets, the other officers agreed. They laughed about human weakness. They made jokes about Jake's kindness. They planned attacks on human colonies. Lyra listened to all of this. She thought about Lieutenant Ben Torres. He had been tortured for 3 months. He never gave up information. He never betrayed his people. Even when his body was broken, his spirit was not. Father, Lyra spoke up. All eyes turned to her. Perhaps we are underestimating the humans. I saw their prisoner. He endured much. He did not break. General Crone smiled cruelly. One tough prisoner does not make a strong species. The humans are soft, Lyra. You of all people should know. They treated you like a guest. They gave you comfort. They showed weakness. Or they showed confidence, Lyra said quietly. They were not afraid of me. They did not need to hurt me to prove they had power. The room went very quiet. Her father stared at her. Lyra, he said slowly. Are you defending the humans? No, father. I am only suggesting we be cautious, that we not assume victory before the battle. Her father's eyes narrowed. You spent too much time with them. They poisoned your mind with their weak ideas. But do not worry, daughter. Soon you will see them destroyed. Then you will understand that kindness is nothing. Power is everything. He turned to the generals. Prepare the fleet. In 1 month, we attack human space. We will start with their weakest colonies. We will show the galaxy what happens to those who choose compassion over strength. Everyone cheered. Everyone except Lyra. She felt a cold fear in her chest. Not fear for herself. Fear for what was coming. Fear for Jake and Claire and all the humans who had shown her kindness. After the meeting, Lyra returned to her room. She sat at her desk. She thought about sending Jake a warning. She thought about telling him the attack was coming. But that would be treason. That would be betraying her people. She wrote the message anyway. She typed out the words carefully. She told him about the fleet, about the plans, about the danger. Her finger hovered over the send button. One press. That was all it would take. One choice. One moment that would change everything. But she could not do it. Not yet. She was not ready. She was not brave enough. She deleted the message and sat in the dark, caught between 2 worlds. The world she was born into, and the world she wished she could live in. Azure Station floated in the darkness of space like a small jewel. It was not a military base. It was a research station. Scientists worked there, studying peaceful technology. Families lived there. Children went to school there. It was a place of learning and hope, not war. Jake stood in the conference room with Dr. Claire Novak and other diplomats. They were discussing new treaties, new ways to help other species. No one expected an attack. Azure Station was far from any conflict zones. It was supposed to be safe. Then the alarm screamed. Red lights flashed. The station shook. Jake ran to the window and saw them. Zarkathi warships, dozens of them. Their weapons glowed with deadly power. Get everyone to the evacuation pods, Jake shouted. Prioritize the children and injured. Move! The station's few defensive weapons fired back, but they were no match for a Zarkathi battle fleet. The shields failed within minutes. Hull breaches opened across the station. Air rushed out into space. People screamed. Jake helped guide civilians toward the evacuation points. He carried a small girl who was crying for her mother. He found the mother and reunited them. He pushed them into an escape pod. Go now, he ordered. What about you? The mother asked. I will be fine, just go. Save your daughter. The pod launched. Jake turned and ran back into the burning station. There were more people who needed help. Above the station, Lyra sat in her fighter cockpit. She led a squadron of 12 fighters. Her hands gripped the controls. Her uncle's voice came through the communication system. All squadrons attack. Destroy everything. Show no mercy, General Crone commanded. Lyra's squadron flew into the station's broken sections. She expected to find soldiers. She expected to find military installations. She expected a fight. Instead, she found civilians running for their lives. She found scientists trying to save their research. She found teachers protecting their students. These were not warriors. These were not threats. These were just people trying to survive. Her wingman, Commander Thar, laughed over the communication channel. Look at them run. Like insects. The humans are pathetic. Lyra said nothing. She watched her targeting system lock onto a group of evacuating civilians. Her finger rested on the trigger. One press. That was all it took. One press and they would die. But she thought about Jake bringing her food. She thought about Claire leaving her medicine. She thought about the choice to be kind even when you did not have to be. Her finger moved away from the trigger. Princess Lyra, why are you not firing? Thar asked. General Crone is watching. Weapons malfunction, Lyra lied. I need to recalibrate. Squadron, hold position. Hold position? We should attack. I am your commander, Lyra said firmly. You follow my orders. Hold position. The squadron held. The civilians escaped. Lyra felt something she had never felt before in battle. She felt relief that she had not killed. But then her fighter was hit by debris from an explosion. The controls sparked. Alarms blared. Her ship spun out of control. She tried to stabilize, but the engines were damaged. She crashed through a hangar bay door and skidded across the metal floor. The impact was hard. Lyra's head hit the side of the cockpit. Blood ran down her face. She tried to move, but pain shot through her leg. The canopy was jammed. She was trapped. Smoke filled the hangar. Through the cracked canopy, Lyra saw someone running toward her. It was Jake. His clothes were torn and burned. Blood covered his hands from helping injured people. He looked exhausted, but when he saw her, he did not hesitate. He ran to her fighter and tried to open the canopy. It would not budge. He looked around and found a metal bar. He used it to pry the canopy open. It took all his strength. You came back, Jake said. His voice was quiet, sad, but not angry. I had no choice, Lyra said. I was ordered to. We always have a choice, Jake interrupted. He reached in and tried to help her out. Can you move? My leg. I think it is broken. Jake carefully pulled her from the wreckage. She cried out in pain. He supported her weight. I am sorry, he said. I know it hurts, but we need to move. The station is not safe. Why are you helping me? Lyra asked. I am your enemy. I came here to kill your people. Jake looked at her. His eyes were still kind even now. Even after everything. Because you are hurt. Because you need help. That is reason enough. Another explosion rocked the station. Part of the ceiling collapsed. Claire appeared from the smoke, leading a group of survivors. When she saw Lyra, her expression was complicated. But she nodded at Jake. The last evacuation pod is this way, Claire said. But we need to hurry. The reactor is failing. They moved through the burning station. Jake and another man carried Lyra between them. The other man was Lieutenant Ben Torres. He looked healthier than before, but Lyra could still see the scars from his torture. Yet he helped carry her without hesitation. Why? Lyra asked him. Why do you help me? Your people hurt you. Ben looked at her with hard eyes, but his voice was steady. Because Commander Harmon is right. Nobody deserves to die like this. Not even you. They reached the evacuation pod. It was small. Too small for everyone. Jake counted the people. His face fell. There are too many of us. The pod cannot hold everyone. I will stay, Lyra said immediately. I am the enemy. Save your people. No, Jake said firmly. Everyone gets on. We will make it work. The weight limits, Claire started. I do not care about the limits. We all go together or we all stay. That is the choice. Jake's voice left no room for argument. They packed into the pod. It was too crowded. The weight warning lights blinked red, but Jake launched it anyway. The pod shot away from the station just as another massive explosion tore through the structure. Through the small window, Lyra watched Azure Station break apart. She watched the flames spread through the sections where she knew people had lived, people who had families, people who had dreams, people who died because her uncle gave an order and she followed it. I am sorry, she whispered. Tears ran down her face. She had never cried in front of others before. In Zarakathi culture, tears were weakness. But she could not stop them now. Jake sat next to her. He did not say it was okay. He did not say she was forgiven. He just sat with her while she cried. Sometimes that was more important than words. The pod docked with a human rescue ship. Medical teams rushed in. They started treating the injured. When they reached Lyra, they hesitated. She was Zarakathi. She was the enemy. Treat her, Jake ordered. She is injured. That is all that matters, the medics obeyed. They set her leg. They bandaged her wounds. They gave her medicine for the pain. They treated her the same as any other patient, because that was the human way. Later, when Lyra was resting in a medical bed, Claire came to visit. She brought water and some food. She set them on the table next to the bed. I do not understand you, Lyra said. I helped attack your station. I helped kill your people. Why do you still show me kindness? Claire sat down. She looked tired, sad, but not hateful. Because hate is easy, she said. Kindness is hard. And the hard thing is usually the right thing. Your people are strange, Lyra said. Claire smiled a little. We have been called worse things. What will happen to me now? Lyra asked. That depends, Claire said. You have a choice to make. You can return to your people, or you can stay with us. Either way, we will not force you. We will not hurt you. The choice is yours. Lyra thought about her father, about General Crone, about the palace with its cold walls and cruel traditions. Then she thought about Jake helping her even after she attacked his station. She thought about Ben carrying her even after his torture. She thought about Claire offering her a choice instead of giving orders. She thought about the question she had asked so long ago. Why are you kind to me? Do you desire something? Now she understood. They did not desire anything. They were kind because they believed kindness mattered. They were strong because they chose to protect instead of destroy. They were brave because they risked everything for what they believed was right. I cannot go back, Lyra said quietly. Not to that life. Not after what I have seen, what I have learned. Then you are welcome here, Claire said. For as long as you need. Lyra looked out the window at the stars. Somewhere out there her father was planning more attacks, more destruction, more death. And she had chosen to stand against him. She had chosen the humans. It was the hardest choice she had ever made, and somehow it was also the easiest, because for the first time in her life, Princess Lyra Velzara was choosing what was right instead of what was expected, and that made all the difference. The news spread across human space like wildfire. Princess Lyra, daughter of the Zarkathi Emperor, had defected. She was with the humans now. The Galactic Council called emergency meetings. Every species watched and waited to see what would happen next. In Geneva, at Earth's government headquarters, politicians argued. The meeting room was full of angry voices. Everyone had an opinion. Everyone thought they knew what was best. We must return her, shouted Senator Martin Cole. He was a tall man with gray hair and a loud voice. The Zarkathi Empire will destroy us if we keep her. They have more ships, more weapons, more soldiers. We cannot win a war against them. We cannot just hand her over, argued Ambassador Lisa Grant. She asked for our protection. We gave her our word. If we betray that now, what does that say about humanity? It says we are smart enough to survive, Cole replied. This is one alien princess versus billions of human lives. The choice is obvious. Jake sat at the end of the table. He had been quiet during most of the debate. But now he stood up. Everyone turned to look at him. With respect, Senator, Jake said, the choice is not obvious. It is actually very simple, but it is not easy. Lyra chose to trust us. She chose to believe that humanity stands for something. If we give her back to save ourselves, we prove that everything we claim about dignity and justice is a lie. Commander Harmon, Cole said with irritation, you are a good man, but you are naive. This is politics. This is reality. Sometimes good people have to make hard choices. No, Jake said firmly. Sometimes we have to make the right choice even when it is hard. That is what makes us good people. If we only do the right thing when it is easy or convenient, then our morals mean nothing. You would risk billions of lives for one alien? Cole demanded. I would risk everything to keep my word, Jake answered. Because if we become the kind of people who trade lives for safety, then what are we fighting for? What makes us any better than the Zarkathi? The room fell silent. People looked at each other. Some nodded. Some looked away. The question hung in the air like smoke. Meanwhile, on the refugee ship, Lyra sat in her small room. She could not sleep. She could not eat. The guilt was crushing her. She knew what her presence meant. She knew the danger she had brought to these people. She had access to human news channels. She watched the debates. She saw humans arguing about her. Some wanted to protect her. Others wanted to return her. She understood both sides. But knowing that people might die because of her was almost too much to bear. Claire came to visit her every day. She brought food. She brought books. She just sat with Lyra and talked. Or sometimes they did not talk at all. Sometimes Claire just sat there while Lyra cried. "I should go back," Lyra said one day. "I should return to my father. Then the war will stop. Then your people will be safe." "What do you think will happen if you go back?" Claire asked gently. Lyra was quiet for a long time. "My father will kill me," she said finally. "Or he will lock me away forever. I betrayed the Empire. There is no forgiveness for that. And yet you are willing to go back? To save your people, yes." Claire reached over and took Lyra's hand. "That is very brave," she said. "But Jake will not let you sacrifice yourself. None of us will. We chose to protect you. That was our decision. You do not owe us your life." "Why?" Lyra asked. The same question again. Always the same question. "Why do you care so much?" "I am nothing to you. I am just an alien. Just an enemy." Claire smiled sadly. "Let me tell you a story," she said. 20 years ago, I lost my husband and son. There was a conflict on a colony world. They were caught in the fighting. I was very angry. I wanted revenge. I wanted to hate everyone involved." Lyra listened quietly. "But then I met someone," Claire continued. "A young woman from the other side of the conflict. She had also lost her family. We were supposed to be enemies. But when we talked, we realized we were the same. Both of us were just people who had lost someone we loved. Both of us were tired of the hate." "What happened?" Lyra asked. "We became friends," Claire said simply. "And I learned that hate does not bring back the people we lose. It only creates more loss, more pain, more empty chairs at dinner tables. So I decided to spend my life trying to prevent that pain. Not by fighting, but by understanding, by caring, by showing that there is another way." Lyra felt tears on her face again. "I do not deserve your kindness." "None of us deserve it," Claire said. "That is not the point. The point is we all need it. Every single one of us. Human, Zarkathi, or any other species. We all need someone to choose kindness. Even when we do not deserve it. Especially when we do not deserve it." Back on Zarkan, Emperor Velzara watched the human news broadcasts. He saw the debates. He saw humans arguing about his daughter. He expected them to return her immediately. Any sensible species would. But these humans were not sensible. They were discussing principles and morals and other weak ideas. "They are fools," General Crone said. He stood beside the Emperor's throne. "They care more about one traitor than about their own survival. This weakness will destroy them." "Send them a message," the Emperor ordered. "Tell them they have 72 hours to return my daughter. If they refuse, we will attack with our full fleet. We will show the galaxy what happens to those who defy the Zarkathi Empire." The message was sent. It was broadcast across all human channels. The Emperor's face filled screens everywhere. His voice was cold and hard. "Humans," he said, "you have something that belongs to me. My daughter, Princess Lyra. She is a traitor to the Empire. She must face justice. Return her within 72 hours or face total war." "This is not a negotiation. This is a command," the message ended. Humanity had 3 days to decide. The news hit hard. People were scared. They had seen what the Zarkathi fleet could do. They had seen Azure Station destroyed. They knew the Empire was stronger, bigger, more powerful. Many people thought the government should return Lyra, save billions of lives in exchange for one. But something unexpected happened. People started protesting. Thousands of humans gathered in cities across Earth and the colonies. They carried signs. They gave speeches. They said that humanity should keep its word, that protecting Lyra was the right thing to do. Veterans from past wars came forward. They volunteered to fight. They said they would rather die defending their principles than live as cowards. Lieutenant Ben Torres was interviewed on the news. His face still showed scars from his torture, but his voice was strong. "The Zarkathi tortured me for 3 months," he said to the camera. "They tried to break me, They tried to make me betray my people. I refused. I endured because I believed in something bigger than myself. I believed in the values that make us human. He paused, then continued. Those same humans who I believed in saved Princess Lyra. They saved her even though she was their enemy, even though helping her put them at risk. That is what makes us different from the Zarkathi. That is what makes us strong, and I will fight to protect that. I will fight for her, because that is what humans do. The interview went viral. Millions of people watched it. Millions of people were moved by it. The tide of public opinion began to shift. On the evening before the deadline, Jake found Lyra in the observation deck. She was staring out at the stars. She looked small and lost. I have a shuttle ready, she said without turning around. I can leave tonight. I can go back to my father. This will all be over. No, Jake said simply. Jake, please. I cannot let your people die for me. I cannot. This is not about you, Jake interrupted. He walked over to stand beside her. This is about us. About who we are. About what we believe in. I am not worth a war, Lyra said, her voice breaking. You are right, Jake agreed. This is not about whether you are worth it. This is about whether we are worth it. If we give you up to save ourselves, we become the kind of people who trade lives for safety. We become ruthless. We become like your father. And then what is the point? Why reach for the stars if we lose our souls along the way? Lyra turned to look at him. Tears ran down her face. I wanted to understand, she whispered. I wanted to know why you were kind to me. I thought maybe you wanted something. But you did not. You were just kind because you chose to be, and now that choice might destroy you. Or it might save us, Jake said. Save us from becoming something we are not. Save us from forgetting that every life matters, that every person deserves dignity, even enemies, even aliens, even you. Lyra broke down completely. She had not cried like this since she was a child. Jake held her while she sobbed. He did not try to stop her tears. He just let her feel what she needed to feel. I am scared, Lyra admitted. So am I, Jake said. But sometimes being scared is okay. It means we care about something. And caring is what makes us human. Or in your case, what makes you more than just a Zarkathi warrior. It makes you a person who can choose a better way. The 72 hours passed. The deadline came. The Human Security Council made their announcement. It was broadcast across the galaxy. To Emperor Velzara and the Zarkathi Empire, the statement read, We have received your ultimatum. After careful consideration, we must respectfully decline. Princess Lyra has requested asylum and we have granted it. We cannot and will not surrender someone who has asked for our protection. The statement continued. We understand this may lead to conflict. We do not seek war, but we will not abandon our principles to avoid it. If you choose to attack us, you will not be fighting weakness. You will be fighting people who would rather die than betray their values. We hope you will reconsider. But the choice is yours, the message ended. Across human space, people held their breath. They waited to see what would happen next. Would the Emperor back down, or would there be war? The answer came quickly. The Zarkathi fleet began moving toward human space. Hundreds of warships. The largest military force the Empire had ever assembled. War was coming, and everyone knew it. The space near Crossroads Prime Station was filled with ships. On one side, the massive Zarkathi fleet. Hundreds of warships, their weapons glowing red with power. On the other side, the human defense force. Smaller, fewer ships. Older technology. Everyone who saw the two fleets knew who should win this fight. But the humans did not run. They did not surrender. They stood their ground. Jake stood on the bridge of the human flagship. Lyra was beside him. She had insisted on being there. If humans were going to fight because of her, she would face it with them. Last chance to change your mind, Jake said to her quietly. You can still take a shuttle back to your father. Maybe stop this. No, Lyra said. I made my choice. I stand with you. Whatever happens, the Zarkathi fleet opened fire. Energy weapons lit up the darkness. The human ships scattered, using speed and maneuverability instead of heavy armor. They could not match Zarkathi firepower, so they did not try. They fought differently. A human destroyer was hit, badly damaged. It started to drift. But instead of abandoning it, 3 other human ships moved to protect it. They formed a shield with their own bodies while the crew evacuated. This confused the Zarkathi commanders. In their culture, damaged ships were abandoned. The crew was expected to die with honor. But humans saved each other. They sacrificed their tactical position to protect the wounded. They are wasting resources protecting the weak. General Crone laughed from his command ship. They make this easy for us. But the battle did not go as easily as he expected. The human ships worked together in ways the Zarkathi could not understand. They coordinated perfectly. They trusted each other completely. When one ship was in danger, others came to help without being ordered. They fought like a single organism instead of individual warriors seeking glory. Lyra watched the battle from the human flagship. She saw the difference clearly now. Zarkathi warriors fought for personal honor and fear of punishment. Human soldiers fought because they cared about the person next to them, because they believed in something bigger than themselves. She opened a communication channel. She broadcast on all Zarkathi frequencies. Her face appeared on screens across the enemy fleet. "My people," she said in her native language, "I am Princess Lyra Velzara. I know you have been told I am a traitor, but I ask you to listen, just for a moment." On the Zarkathi ships, warriors stopped to watch. Some were angry. Some were curious. All of them listened. "I was captured by the humans," Lyra continued. "I expected torture. I expected pain. I expected to be broken. But instead they treated me with kindness. They gave me food that reminded me of home. They offered me medical care without demanding anything in return. They respected me even though I was their enemy." She paused, then went on. "At first I thought this was weakness. I thought they were foolish. But I was wrong. I see now that kindness is not weakness. It is a different kind of strength. A strength we have forgotten. When I was injured in battle, a human saved me. The same human I had come to attack. He risked his life for me, his enemy. Another human who had been tortured by our people carried me to safety. They chose compassion over revenge. They chose to protect instead of destroy." General Crone's face appeared on another screen. "Turn off that broadcast," he shouted. "She is a traitor. Do not listen to her lies." But many Zarkathi warriors did not turn off their screens. They kept listening. "I am not asking you to betray the Empire," Lyra said. "I am asking you to think, to question. We have been taught that strength means cruelty, that mercy is weakness. But look at the humans. They are fighting us even though we are stronger. They are risking everything to protect one person who asked for help. Is that weakness? Or is that courage we cannot understand?" Her words reached across the void of space. Some warriors dismissed them, but others hesitated. Young officers especially. They had always been told that the Zarkathi way was the only way, but now they wondered. The battle continued. The humans were losing. They were simply outnumbered and outgunned. But they did not give up. They fought with determination and unity that amazed even their enemies. On the bridge of the human flagship, Jake made a decision. It was risky, maybe foolish, but it was the only chance they had. "Open a direct channel to Emperor Velzara," he ordered. The crew looked at him in surprise, but they obeyed. Moments later, the Emperor's face appeared on the screen. He looked angry and powerful. "Emperor Velzara," Jake said calmly, "I propose a challenge. Single combat, you and me. If I win, your fleet withdraws and we negotiate peace. If you win, I return Princess Lyra and humanity accepts whatever terms you demand." The Emperor's eyes widened. Then he laughed. It was a deep, cruel sound. "You challenge me?" "A diplomat challenges the Emperor of the Zarkathi. You're either very brave or very stupid." "Maybe both," Jake admitted. "But it is better than thousands of people dying. Let us settle this between us. One life instead of many." The Emperor considered this. In Zarkathi culture, refusing a direct challenge was shameful. And the Emperor was confident he would win. This human was not a warrior. He would be easy to defeat. "I accept," the Emperor said. "We fight on neutral ground. Everyone watches. The winner decides the fate of both our peoples." Both fleets stopped firing. A platform was set up between them. Cameras were positioned so everyone in the galaxy could watch. This was more than a fight. It was a test of everything both species believed in. Jake and the Emperor met on the platform. The Emperor was massive, covered in battle scars and powerful armor. Jake looked small by comparison. He wore simple combat gear and carried a basic energy blade. "Last chance to surrender, human," the Emperor said. "I will make your death quick." "I am not here to kill you," Jake said. "I am here to show you another way." The fight began. The Emperor attacked with brutal efficiency. His blade struck fast and hard.
Jake barely blocked the blows.
He was outmatched in strength and skill. Everyone watching knew this would be over quickly. But Jake did not fight like a Zarkathi. He did not try to overpower the Emperor. He defended, he moved, he survived. He was not trying to win through force. He was trying to prove something. The Emperor's blade cut Jake's shoulder. Blood flowed. Jake stumbled. The Emperor raised his weapon for a killing blow, and Jake dropped his weapon. The platform went silent. Everyone watching held their breath. What was he doing? "I am not going to kill you," Jake said. His voice was steady despite his pain. "That is not victory. That is just more violence. Your daughter learned that. Maybe you can too." The Emperor stared at him. "You mock me. You dare to show pity to the Emperor of the Zarkathi?" "Not pity," Jake said. "Hope. Hope that you can see there is another way. Hope that all this death can stop. Hope that we can build something better than endless war." The Emperor raised his blade. His hand shook with rage. But before he could strike, someone stepped between them. Lyra. "Father, stop," she said. "Please, he is right. This has to end." "Step aside, daughter," the Emperor commanded. "You are a traitor. You have no voice here. If you want to kill him, you will have to kill me first," Lyra said. She stood firm, protecting Jake with her own body. "Because he showed me something I never knew existed. Kindness without expectation, strength without cruelty, a way of living that does not require us to be monsters." The Emperor looked at his daughter, really looked at her. She was different from the warrior princess he had raised. She stood taller. Her eyes were clearer. She was not afraid of him anymore. And in that moment, he saw something he had not seen in years. His daughter was truly alive. Not just surviving. Not just obeying, but living with purpose and conviction. His blade lowered slightly. From his command ship, General Crone watched this moment. He saw the Emperor hesitate. He saw weakness, and he could not allow it. "All ships fire on the platform," Crone commanded. "Kill them all!" The Emperor has been compromised. Some Zarkathi ships obeyed. Their weapons charged, but others did not. Young officers who had heard Lyra's message refused the order. They would not kill their own Emperor. They would not kill someone who had surrendered. The Zarkathi fleet split, some ships loyal to General Crone, others loyal to the Emperor or inspired by Lyra's words. Confusion spread through their ranks. The Emperor saw his empire fracturing before his eyes. He saw his own people fighting each other because he had taught them that strength was everything, and weakness was death. But now they did not know which was which. "Enough," the Emperor roared. His voice carried across all channels. "All Zarkathi forces, cease fire immediately." "That is a direct command from your Emperor." Most ships obeyed. The shooting stopped. General Crone's ship tried to flee, but other Zarkathi vessels surrounded it. Crone was placed under arrest for treason. The Emperor stood on the platform. Jake and Lyra watched him carefully. The whole galaxy watched. Billions of beings held their breath. "Human," the Emperor said finally, "you did not win our fight, but you did something perhaps more difficult. You made me question." He looked at his daughter. "Lyra, you are no longer the daughter I knew. But perhaps that is not a bad thing. Perhaps I raised you to be a weapon when I should have raised you to be a leader." He turned back to Jake. "I will withdraw my fleet. We will negotiate. But know this, human. I do not accept your ways. I do not believe kindness is strength. But I am willing to consider that perhaps there is more than one way to be strong. That is all I ask," Jake said. "Not agreement. Just consideration. Just the willingness to try something new." The Zarkathi fleet withdrew. The battle was over. No clear winner. No clear loser. Just an opening for something different. 6 months later, Crossroads Prime Station had been rebuilt. It was bigger now, more beautiful. And it hosted something new, a cultural exchange center where humans and Zarkathi could meet, learn, understand each other. Jake worked there as an ambassador. Lyra worked beside him, representing those in the Zarkathi Empire who wanted change. It was not easy. Many Zarkathi still believed in the old ways. But slowly, things were changing. Claire ran educational programs. Lieutenant Torres trained joint security forces. Humans and Zarkathi learning to work together, learning to trust each other. One evening, Lyra and Jake stood in the observation deck. They watched ships from dozens of species arrive at the station. A place where enemies could become friends, where fear could become understanding. You never answered my question, Lyra said quietly. Which question? Jake asked. Why were you kind to me? Why did you not give up on me? Jake smiled. I did answer, because it was the right thing to do. No, Lyra said. You told me why you were kind. But why did you keep believing in me? Even when it was dangerous? Even when it made no sense? Jake thought about this. Because I saw someone who wanted to be better. Someone who was asking questions instead of just accepting what they were told. And everyone deserves a chance at that. Everyone deserves someone to believe in them. Especially when they are trying to change. Lyra looked out at the stars. My people have a long way to go. Many still do not understand. They still see compassion as weakness. Humans fought that same battle for thousands of years, Jake said. Some of us still do. Change is slow, but it is possible. That is what matters. And if I fail? Lyra asked. If I cannot change my people? If they reject everything I am trying to do? Then you tried, Jake said simply. And that matters too. Being kind is not about being naive. It is about being strong enough to believe things can change, and brave enough to be the one who changes them. Even if it is hard. Even if it is dangerous. Even if you fail. Lyra felt something warm in her chest. Hope. Real hope. Not the desperate hope of escape. But the hope that comes from working towards something better. From building instead of destroying. From choosing kindness even when it is difficult. Thank you, she said, for showing me another way. For believing I could be more than what I was raised to be. Thank you for being brave enough to try, Jake replied. They stood together in comfortable silence. Two people from different worlds. Once enemies, now friends. Building a bridge between species that had only known war. It was not perfect. It was not easy. But it was a beginning. And sometimes that is the most powerful thing of all. A beginning built on the simple belief that kindness matters. That every life has value. That we can choose to be better. The station lights glowed in the darkness. Ships came and went. People from different worlds met and talked and learned. And slowly, very slowly, the galaxy began to understand what humans had known all along. True strength is not the power to destroy. True strength is the choice to protect. The courage to show kindness when everyone expects cruelty. The determination to believe in something better, even when the whole universe says it is impossible. And that is what made humanity special. Not their weapons, not their ships, not their technology, but their stubborn, wonderful, dangerous belief that everyone deserves compassion, that every being matters, that kindness is not weakness. It is the strongest thing of all.